The National Center on Addiction and Substance Abuse at Columbia University tells us that children say that parental disapproval of underage drinking is the key reason they've chosen not to drink. That's a profound statement, and one that shouldn't be taken too lightly when considering the influence parents have on their children.
Parents can have an influence on children's attitudes toward alcohol in a couple of different ways. The most important is their own demonstration of behavior. If they have a healthy perspective toward alcohol use, alcohol consumption in the community, and demonstrate that, that is going to say more than anything about what they can do to try to have an influence on their behavior.
First of all, in my background, it's important to know that I had, and I have, learning difficulties. I am ADHD, and I'm dyslexic. And growing up in, an affluent high school, it was difficult for me to compete with the kids around me. And so, growing up, I resorted to my social skills and got very good at being involved with groups of kids. I was always known as a kind of a outgoing guy that had a lot of parties, had fun. Drinking provided, social access, helped me to laugh. It helped me to loosen up. And so I continued to do that for a while. And then later on in life, obviously, I began to understand the downfalls to why I had to stop drinking. I could see that as I was growing up and parenting, and as I brought my kids along, I came to the conclusion that at a point in time, I really had to set a standard. I had to be the kind of father that my kids would look up to and appreciate.
Each parent needs to speak early and often with their child, beginning with simple conversations about their child's daily activities, their friends, and interests. The more comfortable and open that parent-child relationship becomes, the easier it will be to have conversations about serious subjects when they come up.
Communication and relationships with family members is critical in shaping attitudes towards alcohol. Again, a lot of it comes back to what are the kids actually observing? Are they observing family members drinking, becoming intoxicated? Do they observe behavioral consequences from the consumption of alcohol?
In almost every family, there are explicit rules and there are unspoken rules. Household rules concerning underage drinking need to be specific. Parents need to be consistent while maintaining these rules and be reasonable, avoiding new consequences and unrealistic threats. And even though they may be household rules, they should hold true at other people's houses.
If parents are drinking around their children, if they're having a glass of wine at dinner at night, even if they're not an alcoholic, if alcohol is in their house, if they have a bar in their house, or if they celebrate by alcohol, the dad gets a raise and they go out and they drink, they get a babysitter, what's that doing is teaching their children to reward themselves with alcohol. If the children are exposed to alcohol, that will be the norm for them, and they will feel that that's normal and there's nothing wrong with it.
If a family has a history of alcoholism, the children should be made aware of this. It should be made clear that some people are simply unable to drink alcohol without drinking to excess, and that alcoholism is a progressive disease, which is a combination of a physical addiction and a mental obsession with drinking.
The likelihood of abuse of alcohol in someone who has a family history of alcoholism is very high. What I describe to patients is you're rolling loaded dice, in that your probability of developing a problem is quite high if you decide to consume alcohol. The onset may be delayed. It may be delayed by years or perhaps 10 years or so, or it could be very, very quick. But it's risky behavior to begin having alcohol consumption when you've got a strong family history of alcoholism.
In these cases, for children whose families have a history of alcohol or drug abuse, it is important to communicate the need to limit the consumption of alcohol and recommend that they don't drink at all. Children often think that other kids their age drink, though the fact is that most probably don't. As children grow up, some of their friends may begin drinking. If the relationship between a parent and a child is strong, the child is more likely to come to them with questions or concerns regarding alcohol and drugs, including whether or not their friends or even themselves are curious about drinking. Parents must remain aware of their children's relationships. Find out if any of their friends are prone to violence or getting in trouble.